Welcome to Surviving the Pen. With your hosts, Agrio, Swain. Pablo,
I can't hear y'all. Let me see what's going on.
I can hear you.
Bingo, I can hear you now. Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
All right, we good to go.
I guess he's trying to figure out his audio, right?
Okay, until he get back in, welcome to Surviving the Pen 187 in Life. We have a guest on tonight, but I'm just going to save all the flavor until my co-author get back on to do his thing. Right now, he's experiencing some difficulties right now. But again, we want to thank you and invite all those that's tuned in to the show. We do have a special guest on tonight. We appreciate him coming. I'm sure that he's going to have some interesting things to say to us to pique our interest. And we ask if you can to please join in and ask any questions. Mr. Swain is back now, so I'm going to turn it over to him and let him continue the program.
Good evening, everybody. How y'all doing out there? Ferdo, what's up, bro?
What's going on, King? How y'all doing?
Oh man, we great.
Good.
I'm great. I can't speak for nobody else, but my guys look like my guys, so I guess I can say they good.
Oh man, you know the business.
Yeah. Interesting show tonight. We appreciate you for coming on, Fredo. We got an hour to get this done, but I like to do things a little different. First of all, I'd like to thank Florida Fruit Cups for being the sponsor of this episode of the show of Surviving the Pen. A lot's been going on. Let's chop it for a minute before we get into the meat. A lot's been going on in the world. One thing's trending right now is Kanye West. With the WLM shirt he brought out at I think it was the Givenchy fashion show over in Paris, and a lot of people's upset with Kanye about that. Y'all guys, I like to know some of y'all opinion on this. Boosie called them out, told somebody to snatch his black card. I think it was a slap in the face personally to BLM. I really can't say why he did that or what dude's thought process is, but it's a hot topic. So let's get into that for a second. Then we're gonna go into the guests and anything y'all might want to say, and so let's chop it. We in the yard. We walking around the yard. We on the loop. We in the weight pile. Let's get to it.
Yeah. I have briefly seen it. Hello everybody to the panel, but I briefly seen it. I can't really just speak too much on it from actually just following it, where I can give you some good insight in terms of what my opinion may be. But we all know that Kanye has been struggling for a while when it's dealing with the public, and our people, so forth. It's how he go about taking care of his business. Yes, he's a genius in one area, but it seems that the brother do lack common sense in a whole lot of other areas, you know, and especially when it comes to something that's going to empower us as a people, regardless of what one opinion may be go through. We all know what our history has been in this country in terms of Black Lives Matter. Regardless of what title may be on something, you're never going to get 100% of all good in it. But we do know that Black Lives Matter also symbolizing something else way, way more than what's on the surface. So, you know, that be my issue really with the brother, you know, everything he has going on for him, the power that he do have, it yet still seem to be like a thorn.
Yeah, yeah. Pablo, you like to say anything about old Kanye West?
Well, I right now I have to confess that I'm not really sure what what happened. Maybe you guys can enlighten me. I do know who Mr. West is, and I know that he's been mired in controversy before. But as of this particular subject matter, I'll reserve my comments until I hear more about what's going on. Maybe the guest or you can bring me up to speed on what's happening. You know, I'm a working man. I get up in the morning, I go to work, I come back. I'm not really too much into watching the news and checking out what's going on. So I apologize for that, but I'm going to get off and let you guys bring me up to speed and see maybe if I have a thought, I'll chime in a little later.
Okay. Ferdo, you out there in Hollywood, man. What you hearing about old Kanye?
Kanye is Hollywood, you know. Kanye is, a little bit of what Latif was speaking about. You know, this ain't the first time he showed us any kind of ignorance, you know. And it gets to a point, us as being like adults and people that actually have been, involved in movements that have, taken us to a place where we can now start seeing the growth in like African Americans or people of color in general, obtaining like some sort of like, well, it's a lot of progress we made, so let me make that clear. It's a lot of progress we made, but when it comes to giving people like Kanye, so much of our energy when he already showed us before, like fool me once but you can't fool me again. Everybody has a choice to decide if they want to forgive him after that. I'm sure there's a lot of people that will forgive him after that. Honestly, the way his mind works, he's a Gemini. He's a little a little cuckoo, but it makes him who he is. And the great thing about us being who we are is we have a choice to either deal with him or not. If he shows us his colors, and it's our choice to see if, hey, we believe he has other colors. But come on, even with the Trump election, and go support Trump, and this is multiple things he already done. So it's like at this point, it's like, okay, let's focus on something else that has more importance. Because to me, I honestly, Kanye, he does have a major platform. He is somebody that a lot of people look up to as far as business, but when it comes to like him supporting us as a culture, I just don't see it. I just don't.
Well-spoken words. Well, Pablo, what happened was, Kanye West is a very controversial guy. So what his latest antics is he premiered a shirt that said "White Lives Matter" on the back of it. So a lot of people seeing that as a slap in the face to the Black Lives Matter movement, which is pretty much a civil rights movement. And I take it like as though anybody that I've heard people say it, they blue lives matter. I've heard people say that you've seen these different things where they just Black Lives Matter became a culture, a part of our culture. The title stuck out. Everybody know what that BLM means when you see it. So like a lot of other things in this country, they stole that and taken that from us too. And for Kanye West to be a black man and do that after he cussed George Bush out and say George Bush ain't for the black people, and then you turn around, you say Trump's, you love Donald Trump, and you can love who you want to love or support who you want to support, but some things, man, you just my personal opinion, you just go a little bit too far, and I think that's what he did. But he's a billionaire now, so I guess he really don't care. He got what he was after. Like the brother said, fool me once, You know, shame
Yeah.
on you. Fool me twice, that's shame on me. So yeah, so we got Fredo. You know, we got you for a whole hour.
I'm here.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
figure we'll, you know, stretch it out, you know, treat you like a guest, but then for real, like you one of us. So tell us a little bit about Fredo Banks. Who is Fredo Banks?
You know, I'm just, you know, I was born in Puerto Rico. I migrated from Puerto Rico over to Connecticut. You know, then I grew up in Lancaster, PA, very small city. You know, mother didn't really know my real father. You know, just to give you a little breakdown of what I've been through. You know, real dad wasn't around. My mother met my stepfather. Very, very attentive person. He didn't have none of his own kids, so I was, you know, that's who I consider my dad. He raised me up in Lancaster, PA. Very strict parent. You know, I used to be all right in school. Then, you know, him and my mom went to divorce, and you know, once you don't get love at home or feel like you're getting a proper love at home, you start to search for love in other places, especially when you're in that stage in your life where you're starting to you're trying to understand who you are or who you want to be. So you know, me, I guess I was culturally shifted, you know, with rap and all that. So I started going to the streets. I thought that drugs was the key to life. You know, I thought that I knew that I wanted to be my own boss, but I just didn't have, well, I didn't have the resources at, you know, being 14, 15 years old. Nor did I have the patience. I wanted to get it how I get it, whatever made me stick out, whatever I had to go through to get it, I was going to do it. So I was actually like the last kind of I'm an 89 baby, so I'm like the last of, you know, where the common sense really stuck. And um but
I like that.
yeah, well, yeah, not nowadays 90s and millennial babies, they really just don't care about anything. But you know, I turned 18, went to jail. In my ignorance, I thought it was something. I'm like, all right, let me experience, you know, let me see what this jail is about. You know, I think I was in there for a few months. I'm like, calling my mom, like, Mom, you gotta get me out of here. You know, it was just, you know, I was so used to living a certain way. And you know, I had my girlfriend at the time, she was pregnant. I wanted to get the hell out of there. You know, it's not that I had a rough time in the system. It's just I wasn't ready for the mental challenge that the system it like it makes you face something that you never faced before. So this is one thing about anybody that's been incarcerated, you know that mentally you have to be somewhere in order to survive. And I don't mean even physically, just to be at a place where you can come out and become a better person. Because there's some people that never recover from the system. So you know, just to break down where I'm at right now is you know, I did 7 years in jail from 18 to 28 years old. You know, I got out a couple times. I just kept going back in. Just couldn't figure it out. I was a nuisance. I thought I knew it all. I was arrogant. I was immature, and I really didn't give a f. You know, and now I'm at a better place. I came home. I was 28 years old. I was ready for maturity. I felt like I finally had enough, and I wanted to try something new. So I started modeling. I've had a lot of success from that. I've been able to gain about 800,000 followers in the past 4 years. I've hosted. I've been in music videos. You know, I'm acting now in LA. So my life has shifted. I am a father of 5 beautiful children. To five
Alhamdulillah.
to 5 different women, which, you know, is not nothing to brag about, and I don't say it to brag of it. But once you understand your place on this in this universe as a king, you understand that you can handle that. And if I've come to a place with all of my kids' mothers that there's no drama in my life. You know, the only problem is I'm not giving enough time to my kids, obviously. But we have come to an agreement where we're going to co-parent and raise these kids as best as we can under the circumstances. So yes, I'm living out here in LA, and you know, I met Mark. It's Mark, right?
No, Mike.
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 I met Mike in Miami recently, and we spoke. You know, there's a lot we have in common. We have a lot in common, and I told him, you know, whatever he decides he wants to do, I am here to support him, and I'm here to voice my opinion on some of these matters. So yeah, that's just a quick breakdown. So I'm not going to get into much of what I know we're going to get into, but that's just a little introduction of who I am.
Well, brother, I want to say this, man. When I met you in Miami at the K Renee experience, uh your presence, you know, it took over the room. Um, I felt your light, your warm glow, and it was just you was just somebody I wanted to get to know, you know. And so you know, I common denominator where, you know, we no matter where we go, we recognize each other as street people. You
Right.
know, that's just a thing. Um, so you in the room right now with it's four of us. You know, we all had our downs, we all had our ups, but you know, we're taking what society threw at us, and we throwing it back in the system's face, because we're all doing positive things now. So, you know, for me, it's an honor to have you on the show. We thank you for coming on. Um, so, you know, you told us a little bit about yourself. So from here on out, we finna treat you like one of the guys, and we're gonna get into what this show is about. You know, jump in on you, come back to what the show is about. Let's just have a conversation. We just kicking it. You know, we just kicking it. And the best of luck to you with your acting career. I honestly hope that you go as far as you can go. You know, the conversation me and you had, so we're gonna keep that going.
Right.
You know, the brother Latif, you know what I mean? I like him to introduce himself to you, and then Pablo do the same, and then we gonna crack into the subject matter of the show this evening. And
Oh,
just gonna have some fun, man.
absolutely, absolutely. You know, like minds think alike because the brother has made a statement that, you know, resonated, and it is what my book is really all about: surviving the beast. My name, first of all, let me introduce myself to you. My name is L.C. Harmon. I'm an up and coming inspiring writer. I have already written and had published my first volume. Um, I'm currently writing my second one now, and two more to follow. But the one thing you said, brother, that really, really piqued my interest and already let me know a level that you're on that I deeply, deeply admire and respect is the fact that when you talked about being incarcerated, the very first thing you said that I felt that you wanted to be of great importance to let anyone know is that in order to survive, that your mind have to be right. That's the most important element in the whole thing, is to be mentally prepared for the things that lies ahead. And that's those of what it doesn't matter what you did 7 days or 7 years. You know, you can have 7 minutes and then it can be the end of one's life. But yes, and maybe after the show or whatever the case, we may can talk a little bit more about that mentality that it takes in order for one to survive that type of environment and then come back and be an access to or their family and society opposed to being a liability, because we know a whole lot don't make it. Um, and I'm gonna pass it on to my brother Pablo. I don't want to monopolize the time, but that very first thing you said struck a major interest in me that I know that you and I have great conversations to come. So I'm gonna pass it to Pablo, and we'll continue to kick it because I know this is gonna be a fantastic show. We might have to try to see if we can get another hour.
Well, thanks, Brother Latif. I'm Pablo, and Fredo, nice to meet you, man. I'm originally from Panama. I came here to the States when I was about 17. Ended up in Philadelphia, left Philadelphia, went to New York, lived in the Flatbush area for a little while, ended up on the streets, then eventually found my way into the Marine Corps and out west. Once I left the Marine Corps, I got into law enforcement, got married, had a lot of issues mentally, spiritually, psychologically, emotionally. Ended up getting involved in an incident of domestic violence, which took the life of my wife. They sent me to prison for murder. At the time, I was still in law enforcement and I was attending law school. I was in my late 20s when I went to prison and a life sentence. I met Brother Latif there in my wanderings. We spent a couple of decades together. While in prison, I can relate to what you said about finding that space in your mind where you can survive not only the prison environment, but to leave prison and return to society and still, manage to make something of yourself. I've only been out of the system 5 years. In a lot of ways, Brother Mike said something to me while I was visiting in Florida that stuck with me for a little while. He said that, in a lot of ways, I was still uh, living like if I was on the inside, that there was still a lot of recovery for me to do before I shook the chains. And I kind of, I kind of agree with that assessment. There are days when I feel like I'm doing good and I'm making a proper adjustment. And then there's days when, I'm not really sure, where I'm standing. When I came out of the pen, I went to the VA as a veteran. They took care of me. I met a therapist there that worked with me for a while. She encouraged me to write a book about my life story, some of the things that have been happening to me, some of the things that I experienced. I've seen the criminal justice system from all sides, as a student of law, as a convict, as a law enforcement officer, as a prison litigator. I've experienced the whole thing. I took her advice and wrote this book called In Pursuit of Happiness. And the title is telling because, in a sense, it also relates and connects to some of the things that you spoke about in your introduction. That, I grew up single parent home, didn't know my father, didn't meet him until late in life, and then never really had a relationship with him. So I always had to lean on mom to take care of me and do things for me. That is until she sent me here as a teenage boy to figure things out on my own. Uh, right now, my focus is on trying to deliver a message to anyone who wants to listen about the fact that you can fall, you can crash, you can burn, but if you uh, come to the realization that a lot of the things that happened to you happened because you were disconnected from the Creator, and you try to find some kind of comfort and connection with the Creator and turn your life around, that it is possible. I'm here to testify that change is possible, second chances should be given, and that if we are assisted in that process, that we are capable of becoming better human beings all the way around. And I'm glad that we have made this connection, sir. I hope that this is the beginning of a long friendship. And, you're welcome. You're my brother. And thank you for taking the time to be here with us.
I appreciate every single one of you, Kings.
Hmm. Yes.
Before we get into Fredo, let the people know about your journey, bro. Like, did you come home from prison with a vision? Did you come home from prison? Did you have a plan? Cause you say you from PA, now you in Cali. That's a long way. So all the way across the country. So, I told my people on Facebook, I said I ain't gonna tell his story, but for all y'all want to see a nice looking guy, I got eye candy for you on the show tonight. So
Hey, you sure you weren't talking about me?
yeah, well, we squirrel nuts, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
We
yeah,
old
yeah,
candy,
yeah, 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 yeah,
he's new
yeah,
candy.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
So, what let the people know a little bit about your journey, bro. Just touch it.
My journey has been how could I say it? It's been a roller coaster. But one thing that I was always able to carry since my childhood, in every situation I kind of been in that tried to drag me down, is I've always woke up the next day with a new sense of energy. Okay, no matter what that day before had created for me, I always made sure, like, you know what, today's a new day. I have the choice to be happy, and I have the choice not to be happy. No matter what circumstance I'm in, I'm gonna continue to smile, and I'm gonna continue to learn and grow from whatever situation I'm dealt with. Whether it was me, having to deal with You know, nightmares of thinking that, you know, I was waking up to some domestic violence that my mom and dad was going through. I knew that I had the two legs to walk. I know I had the two legs to run. I know I had the eyes to see, the voice to talk, and the ears to listen. So I kind of always set my own reality, and I feel like it's important for a lot of people to set their own reality, because the world will try to make you to be who they want you to be. But
Mm-hmm.
understand who you are as a person, and you
Mm-hmm.
accept who you are as a person, then you start to work on yourself and not so much of working on everybody else or their perception of you. Um, I made my mistakes, but guess what? I always accepted I'm human. I am human. I'm going to make my mistakes, and it's okay. And I've always accepted that in my mind. You can't tell me about me. You can't tell me about me. I know who I am, and that's one thing I learned in prison. You know, whether I was in a cell with somebody else or I was in a cell by myself, you know, I had to face myself and I had to take the time to kind of look in the mirror and just be like, okay, well, this is what I've been through. Okay, what is the pattern? You know, what has been my trigger? Because and being incarcerated, they teach you your triggers, you know. And this time what was different is I actually paid attention, and I paid attention because it was my time to pay attention. You're not going to want to change you're not going to want to change until it's time that you want to change. It don't matter who tells you what lessons you read, what books you read. None of that matters until you're ready to accept everything that the world has to offer. Because, you know, as much as this universe is an ugly place, it's a beautiful place indeed. It is beautiful. It is beautiful. It's beautiful. But it's your job to find that balance in your life where you can see the beauty and not pay attention to all the pain and the scars. We all have them, you know.
Hmm.
I came home and I was just at a point I was like fed up, you know. Hey, this time let me come home and change my people, places, and things.
Mm.
The guys that I were used to running around with, they ain't care about me being in jail. They ain't give a fuck about me. They ain't write me. They ain't send me no money. You know what I'm saying? Like I came home with a new sense of I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do to succeed, and I don't give a fuck what anybody thinks. And excuse my language, but I'm gonna keep it. This was just a period of time where I'm like, you know what? And if I don't try something new, guess what? I'm gonna fall back into the same old
Mm-hmm.
shit that gave me the same old results. So I came home working construction. I was making like, you know, $20 an hour just coming home from upstate prison. And I was still not satisfied. I was like, listen, I still have this, you know, white man telling me what to do. I'm still waking up at 6 a.m. in the morning when I know my life. I know I want more for my life, you know. I've always respected the working man, but the working man never felt right to me. And I know we all got to work in our own different ways, but it just didn't sit well with me. And when you start to understand who you are, you kind of understand what your triggers are. They teach us that in
Mm-hmm.
person. You know, what are your triggers? My trigger was me anywhere where I feel like I'm not in some form of control. So, you know, I've always I worked a couple jobs in my lifetime. I'm 30. I'll be 33 in about 5 days, and I always wanted financial freedom for me to be able to go, especially when you're locked down for so long. You just want to go. You want to travel. You want to see the world. You want to feel the world. You want to try new things, and that's what I did. So I did a photo shoot, and a photographer reached out to me. At this point, my vibrations were so high, and I'm really big on, you know, understanding, you know, planting your feet, feeling your vibrations, staying positive, and manifestation. Okay, you usually speak what you think about, and what you usually speak about is what usually happens. You know what I'm saying? You talk about negative things arise in your life. You speak positive things. You know, you attract what you put out. Simple.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and it's crazy because a lot of people don't figure that out, or some people do figure it out when it's too late. And too late is when you're right there and you're facing a life or death situation, and you just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you just don't know, you just don't have no other option at that point. But yeah, I started doing modeling. I've had success, and if to me it was already destined. When I was incarcerated, I used to be on TV, watching TV with a couple of my bunkies, And I used to be like, you know what? I'm gonna be on TV. Watch when I come home. And he used to laugh and hey, blah 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 blah. When I came home, it's crazy because my boy still hit me up to this day. I've been home going on 5 years. So Pablo, man, you can relate on that. I'm going
Yes,
on
sir.
5 years, and yeah, like my boys hit me up like, hey man, I'm so proud of you changing your life around. And it's crazy because I had to leave a lot of people behind. And one thing I learned, I have to put myself first in order for me to be successful, because I'm already enough of I'm already still trying to figure out who I am as a man along this journey, that it's hard for me to sit here and try to be somebody else's mentor when I'm trying to focus on mentoring myself and surrounding myself around people that's only going to help me rise and not fall. So the guys that were still stuck in the streets, I'm like, hey, I love y'all, but I'm gonna love y'all from a distance. I will no longer be involved in y'all BS. I will no longer surround myself around y'all BS, because your BS can easily turn into my BS, and now we both in BS, and we ain't how we gonna get out of this situation. So yeah, it's just I'm at a very positive place in my life where on my worst days I'm still learning to smile and accepting the fact that I am someone great in this universe, and if I can touch one, two, three people, it's better than touching nobody. So I've like like Mike said, when he seen me, he's like, my energy speaks for itself. You can feel me before you see me, or you can feel me before you touch me. And I'm going to continue to spread my positivity by just being myself, because it's so much easier for you to wake up and accept what's before you when you're like, all right, I'm just gonna go out here, be myself. And those who can't appreciate me for being myself don't need to be around me, because I shouldn't have to be a clown or somebody I'm not in order for
That's
you.
right. That's
Yeah,
right. I feel
yeah.
everything you're saying, but let me take y'all back and see can I make some old feelings rise up. The topic for this evening is that tray that
Mm.
comes through that slot
Mm-hmm.
that you got to eat if you ain't got nobody in your corner. You got to eat it. You ain't got no commissary under the bunk or in the locker or whatever. Since I've been home, every time I seen a picture of that tray, that prison tray, that county jail tray, you spoke with triggers. It's a trigger for me. Because that tray, bro, every time I see that tray, I'm thinking about, like how you say, some people you had to cut off. I'm thinking about all those that's behind that fence that got to eat that tray.
Mm-hmm.
I was telling my manager the other day, yesterday, I think it was, I'm 6 feet 230. What a bologna sandwich gonna do for me? 2 cookies, a bologna sandwich.
Piss you off?
You know what I mean? So let's go around the room, starting with Latif. What does that trait symbolize to you, bro?
Uh, rock bottom. Yeah. And not only have I seen that tray in the county jail, I also seen that same tray in prison, locked down, don't nobody move, everything cold. So, you might get a scoop of cold uh, baked beans slash pork and beans, that everything you seen on that tray. Uh, and it's a constant reminder what you don't want to repeat. And it is also a constant reminder from whence you came, right? And unlike the brother and Pablo and our special guest tonight, November would be 5 years for me too
Mm.
This
of
November,
being home.
next
This
month.
November, yes, next month to be home. And a lot of things you say, brother, resonate with me because I also share that same energy. You don't have to touch me, man. You can see me, feel me before I get there. Because when you real, let me clarify that term real, because that's another loose term. He's a real one. Yeah, but you don't have to speak of what's real. You're gonna see it, you're gonna feel it, you're gonna connect. That's what it's an energy that can't be denied. You know, um, But back to that meal, man, that meal symbolizes a whole lot of things. I was telling my manager earlier today, we was talking about some things, and I told her, I said, when we was at the Revolt, and I seen, Master P and Gucci Mane, same ones that Mike, I was with him, that lineup. It was one thing that Master P said, and I've seen him make that statement before around that subject, but he said one thing, and he said that reason why McDonald's was so famous, not because of the burgers and the different variety of what they had, but what made them so famous was the consistency. In every cheeseburger, everywhere they go, that bologna sandwich, that tray, I don't care where you are in the United States, you show that tray to anybody that's been to prison, county jail, or anything, their mind is going to go right back to the same thing. Consistent and making sure we all feel, nigga, you got something. We can remind you what it's like to hit rock bottom. But then it's up on us, to make those necessary changes, man, so we don't resort back to that. I know I'm taking a lot of time, but we kicking it. But now
We
that that my journey, the same thing that you talked about, you was on inside themselves, that mind, man, that's the most important element, man, that one must have, especially, I don't care if you're doing 7 days or 70 years, man. He has to have that, man, in order to survive. So, and that trade triggers all of that, because for those of us, not only did we see the tray, we had to eat the tray, right? Wanted another tray, not because it just tastes so good, but there was a method of survival. And when you go all the way back to that, to where this is it, that'll make a brother really, really, really think about repeating those kind of things again. It'll make him grow up quickly and get a great understanding on a whole lot of levels that only those who experience that can really understand it and articulate. And I think this is one of the things that we all on this panel have the ability to do that some lack the inability to do, is to be able to tell this story where it is penetrating, it is educating, and it is healing. So I feel your energy on that level. I think this is where you and I level off at.
Mr. Agrio,
Yeah.
did you like that
Well,
trait?
there is no question about it that in my mind, the vision of that tray symbolizes oppression at its maximum. You know what I'm saying? It's a reminder of where you're at and what and how far, how low you have fallen. Because when you see that, you know that you have reached a point in your life, man, where there's no way to go any further down. Now, I remember the first time that I saw that tray in county jail, I didn't want to touch it. And I was, eventually you have to, or you're going to die of starvation. But I was fortunate enough that I was released on bail prior to my trial. But then when I ended up going to the penitentiary, and really I had no other choice. This was going to be my life. I didn't know it at the beginning that it was going to be 3 decades of my life. But when I first started to deal with it, initially reluctantly, I would pick and choose different little aspects of the tray, things that I thought I could stomach, and then and survive. And then eventually, with the passage of time, you came to just accept it and deal with it. And then as more time went by, you found yourself realizing that every day, every week, they were serving you the same thing, and you didn't really need to have a menu anymore to know what was going to be on that tray. And you had to, there were days when you just said to yourself, you know what, I'm skipping it today, man. I can't deal with it. And then we all know that there is that one day out of the week where they have a special meal, like chicken or something that is not your top of the line chicken, but is the best meal of the week.
Oh,
So
wow.
everybody's running to the chow hall to get that tray. So there's a lot of things, a lot of visions that come to my mind when I see that tray. But the one thing that I know for certain is that every time I see it, my inside shakes, because I know what that symbolizes. I know what it means, and I know that that's not a trait that I want to ever want to see again in my life.
Mm. What
Mhm.
Yeah.
Fredo?
Ah, man, these kings top. They spoke on it, oppression, and one of the big things I feel like them trades symbolize is like, um, as far as basically like limitation.
Mm.
Like there's like there's a limit to how much you can eat, right? And I feel like those trades are just enough to keep you right where they want you mentally. Okay, it's just enough to keep you alive. Okay, and to me, I seen mentally them what them trades can do to people, and I seen people physically get beat up with them same trades.
Mm.
So it's like, oh man, it's
Yeah.
it's a very powerful thing. And us, I'm speaking for myself. I just know that one trade was never enough for me. So me as a hustler, I always figured out how to get another trade, whether it's two or three more. I just know that you figure out how to feed yourself. You figure out how to not go in and come out lighter. And most people that I do know, they go in the jail, in the prison, and they come out even bigger. You know what I'm saying? Because you just get to a point where it's like it's not the fact that you accept it, but for that time being, you have no other choice. Like Pablo said up top, you have to eat to survive. And
Yeah.
if you allow yourself not to eat and become weak, guess what? You're around some treacherous people that's going to survive. And
Right.
this goes back to watching National Geographics when a lion, the lionesses, they start prowling, and as soon as they see anybody with some kind of weakness, that's the first one they go for. Why? Because it's an easy meal.
Yeah.
It's an easy meal. And that goes in for mentally and physically. As soon as you some of the young guys, it was hard for me to it's crazy because I was always that young guy that the older guys, we call them old heads, that were always like, you're different, youngin. There's something about you that's different. You could be out here starting trouble and fighting and all that, but you sitting here playing Scrabble or chess with me, or you're actually sitting here taking the time to listen to me, because I've always felt the importance and learning from someone that's been in the system a lot longer than me. So, them trades, man, waking up and them things getting slid in your cell, and you got to eat the tray next to a toilet. And it,
Yeah.
it does,
Speak on it.
yeah, it's just at some point, it sucks. And I was just speaking to Mike's manager yesterday, and I'm like, one thing that really bothered me, that there was actually some people in there that was innocent. You have to sit in these jails with everybody, even when you're innocent, and you're still being treated the same way, even when you're innocent. So to me, I feel like the system always failed us in that way, because some people, you understand, hey, it's the law is the law. You do the crime, do the time, accept the consequences, keep 10 toes down and figure it out. But yeah, man, it's crazy. No matter what whether you killed somebody or whether you jaywalked across the street, you was eating the same tray. And to me, that one symbolizes a lot of yeah, like you said, you hit rock bottom.
Yeah.
You know something? We all said it's just my mind just keep racing about that tray, bro. I remember the times, and this was every day, all three meals. I remember, and I used to sit back because I very rarely went to the chow hall. If I had a noodle, I'm not going to the chow hall. One noodle will
Yeah.
get me more fuller than that whole tray.
Right. Right. Right.
So if I had a noodle, I wasn't going to the chow hall. But I was fortunate enough that doing what I was doing, I very seldomly went to the chow hall. If I did, it was for pass off a bag, or to go meet somebody off the other side of the yard, or something like that. Now I give the tray away mostly. You know what I'm saying? But I used to sit back, bro, and when they used to say child going out, how it'll be brothers lined up waiting on that call. Like they was cows, bro, and a bell was being rung, and they was on their way to eat grain, you know, and that was something that always stuck out to me, and I never frowned upon nobody that had to go to the chow hall that was, you know, misfortunate, not as fortunate as I was. I never done that, you know what I mean, because you know why? What do I get out of that? I'm a grown man, but just how the system it triggers these things in our mind, how it controls us, how it controls the system, how it wants to be in control of a life that's a person, in the same ways that it controls a herd of cows, a herd of pigs, a herd of whatever. And man, I used to see guys, and we all saw it, they racing to the chow hall, bro. And then sometimes you get in the chow hall and you'll see one guy, he got 4-5 trays around him. And you just, and it's just sad, bro. That tray symbolizes so much pain. That tray symbolizes so much setback. That tray makes you think about the things you've missed.
Yeah.
Having to eat that bullshit.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't know about you, Fredo, but well, I can say that, you know, the three of us guys, Latif, Pablo, me, we go back to the days of being incarcerated when they gave you real food.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
You had real pork chops.
Real food. Yeah.
You had everything, and the tray was like, you know, when they called chow, like you was going to eat something.
Yeah.
You know, so
I was
you know,
just going to mention that, Mike. Forgive me for interrupting you, but I was just going to mention that I remember when I fell in '88 and I went into the penitentiary system. I was surprised at the quality of the food that they were serving.
yeah,
And then just periodically over the years, man, it just started to change to the point where I remember a time, and I think Latif can testify to this, where they took away the lunch tray.
Yeah.
And then they were just giving us straight up peanut butter and jelly with an apple every single day.
in a bag.
Mm-hmm.
In a bag. And then all we had was the trays in the morning and in the evening. And then the rest of the day, you had to make do with that peanut butter and jelly and that apple. And you would get so sick of the peanut butter, man. And then, you know, I just don't know how we made it through all those years just dealing with that stuff, man. But, you know, over a period of time, and with the explosion of the prison population, especially here in California, man, I mean, they just started to squeeze us for every little thing that we could get, man. I mean, and as you mentioned, if you didn't have a loved one that could supplement your diet, you were in serious trouble. And there was the quandary, you know, whether you didn't want to eat, you would get weak. If you ate what that stuff was, well, good luck to you. And you know, thank God we made it through. But I mean, the nightmares are still there, man. I mean, the reminders. So even today, I will tell you guys this. I don't know if you can relate to it or not, but you know, I can't eat eggs anymore. I just can't stand the sight of any over easy eggs, man, or scrambled eggs. The scrambled eggs was that liquid stuff that they would just pour into that hot water, and then that came out rubbery. I still have a tough time adjusting to eating eggs out here because I remember the eggs that they used to serve us at breakfast in the penitentiary.
On Sundays.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sunday meal.
Well, you know, Latif, I want you to talk about this, bro. Right now in the state of Alabama,
Okay.
a lot of I don't know if it's the whole state, but I know it's enough that they getting America's attention.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, a lot of it has to do with, you know, Alabama got, you know, it's a state where there's a lot of, you know, jacks in there, a lot of phones in there. So, you know, them guys ain't scared to go online and they filming this stuff. You know what I mean? Mistreatment they getting in there. So a lot of the prisoners in Alabama, they've sat down. They saying we ain't going to the chow hall, we ain't eating your food. How you doing, Elder Terry? We ain't eating your food. We ain't working no more for you. You know what I mean? Look what y'all feeding us, and they showing these pictures of these trays, these bag lunches, and you know, let's let society know what that is, Latif.
Okay, you know, see, like that in there. Let's understand that one of the major reasons why uh, they are able to get away like that, because when you incarcerated, you really don't have the platform for those to champion the cause of a human life. But if it's an animal, I do love animal. I like all God's creation. But for some reason, when it comes to the human being, you know, we seem to be last on the totem pole. But back to this situation in Alabama with the food. Yes, you know, they land down like that because they are being exploited, you know. So they feel that one of the best ways to get some attention in society really is not eat the food, because they have to uh answer why all that, even though it's garbage, but they still gonna have to answer why a lot of their food is not being eaten. So they're gonna have to answer from all levels, not just what you see on the surface. It's a lot of inside things goes on too. So whoever's in that is organized, they know if we don't eat this food, if we no longer let them exploit us, they're killing us anyway with the food, because the kind of food that they feeding us long term, it's going to develop into other things, avenues, which we know pharmaceuticals is $1 billion industry. So now they're going to peel us out the game because this food they've been feeding us. But just like in Alabama, same thing went on in California when they incarcerated so
All
many people in a length of time to where they couldn't medically take care of them, and they was dying. Alabama's going through the same similar type thing. Only they're dealing with the food, because the food that they feed them, number one, again, it's not no nutritional value meal. And we know in order to survive that, we must have a balanced meal. They don't have that. So they fighting it the only way that they can, and which it is a very powerful way, because they don't want people coming into them prisons and people are dying from the lack of food. Now they want to know, okay, well, where did this really come from? Even though we know prison is America's dirty secret, right? But they still haven't really got down to it yet to really take care of those kind of things. And greetings to you, Elder Terry, and all the other ones that just came on. Thank you. Continue to ask these questions, and the moderator will come back on again. But the that food, man, that's and in there. Let me say this: it's not an easy thing when you're in prison like that and you operating off of top ramen, water, peanut butter. You know, that's not an easy thing. Truly, it's not a really easy thing. But one do what they must to survive that, and in doing that, then it makes them they have to. You either gonna swim or drown. And what they're doing right now in Alabama with this food, they're doing everything that they can to really get some attention so they can let the public know. See, they can't do nothing inside. Public has to aid them.
Right.
And the only way they can aid them like that is to really appeal, you know, to the sensitivities of the public. And again, it's sad, but it seems that the public would be more willing to say Chippy the Sea Lounge than it would to save a human life. So they doing everything they can. You know, they need all the help they can. I'm glad that this topic is a topic that we're speaking about tonight, because we are all doing our part in the only way that we can, and in other ways, but at least we're discussing it. We're getting this message out there. We letting letting the public know, because there once a time, all four of us on this panel was in a similar like situation, and we wanted someone to speak up for us. So I'm already feeling good and victorious just even by having this conversation with three other very intelligent people, where we going to articulate this message and get it out there to those who really need to hear it, that care.
Yeah. That's if y'all see it. This my prison khakis, man. I
Yeah.
stole this out the joint. When I came home, I stole this and brought it home with me. So I put it on the night, you know what I mean, to show, even though some, them brothers don't see us, don't hear us, you know what I mean, I'm with y'all, you know what I mean, letting y'all know that I'm with you. You hear me? So it's like this, bro. Um, uh, the moderator says that they fed them the food as a punishment because they refused to work for the state of Alabama. Well, that might be some truth, you know what I mean? But believe it or not, that food that you see on them trays is the food we get every day anyway.
Yeah.
That's the food you get every day anyway. but they probably giving them bag lunches. I remember when the COVID thing went on, COVID first jumped off in the joint. I was in the joint. When you went to chow to pick up a bag lunch. Potato chips, an apple or orange, a bologna sandwich or a peanut butter sandwich, a milk, like you was going on a field trip in elementary school. So, we complained about that. Like, they weren't giving us no hot food because COVID happened. They didn't know what COVID was, and they were saying they knew, but they used it as a form to shut the joint down. Them guys, bro. That's I'm pretty sure the sisters in Alabama is doing it too. They making them work. They getting. That's the thing that we're missing. They're getting top-notch workforce out of those people that's incarcerated for basically free.
Mm-hmm.
We're talking about what they're doing in Indonesia and China, in these sweat factories. We got sweat factories right here in America. And it's called the prison system. It's the extension of slavery. It's right here going on right up under your noses. So, if any one of y'all want to touch on that, it's the trades that symbolizes so much, bro. Like this segment should be 2 hours because that trade, it sets me off.
Let me say this about that trade. Not only that, Mike, is that even with the trade, the way that you would see people race it and run into the child hall, and then once they get to the child hall, not all but some, and then when they do get to the child hall, then like you said, one person have 4, 5, 6 trays around. He's trying to get everything, bag everything up. Then you got some that's trying to trade food, but you notice they do that with everything. Even going to the canteen, when you're trying to get to the yard or wherever you're going to get the commissary, it's that same mentality. Trying to go to the shower, it's the same. Anything that you do, right? They program you, man. If you can't think for yourself and understand really the nature of that beast, if you can't really think for yourself and think outside, you will be controlled.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
You have to see what people don't understand. In prison, you got different types of minds in prison.
Mm-hmm.
All of us can't be programmed. Many can. You see, so that's why you see things that trade, bro. Like you said, that trade is a trigger for a whole lot of people because it brings about a whole lot of things to the memory of a whole lot of people. Because although we was in different states, but that treatment is the same. That mentality is the same. That controlling factor is the same. Right? Yes.
Yeah, it is. We got a question on the board. I got this iPad. I'm just gonna Google it real quick. The question is, how much money do the prisons get for a prisoner? Now, I was in Kentucky my last bid, and I know that I think it was like $26,000 per prisoner.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, let's just Google. I'm just gonna Google a state. How much
Google
does?
California. They're gonna really break you off.
Okay, let's use California.
Okay, yeah.
California get per prisoner per year. Alaska, okay, they got a different. California, you know how much money they get per prisoner? You California guys, you know how much they get?
Oh yeah, they up there.
I'm gonna say
I've been
about
gone.
35,000.
35 times 2, bro. $64,642.
Yeah. I told you they're gonna break them off. Yeah. I told you they don't break them off.
That's
I know
per
that.
prisoner. Now, I was telling Miss T the other day, yesterday. Think about that. $62,000 a year per prison. Don't you know you can eat lobster and caviar every day?
Yeah.
You can eat the best of the best food every day.
It's all game though.
But what they do is now in today's system, what they do is they bring in Aramark and all these companies, And the budget for that tray might be, $3, $4, $5 per tray per prisoner. And they come in, these companies, they come in and they say, you know what, we can make that tray be 32 cents a tray. But it's the $5 or whatever is still in the budget. So that money getting kicked back to the wardens,
Yeah.
the chief of securities, the commissioner of corrections, sometimes the governor, but all this stuff is not being spoke on, bro.
Yeah. And yeah.
It's
And
not
not
being
only
it's not being exposed. And she said they fed y'all baloney. Now when the yards open, most of the time you're gonna see baloney on the tray. You go to Chow, you're gonna see baloney 3 times a week at least. At least 3 times a week. And that's for lunch or breakfast.
Yeah, breakfast, they just warm it up. They just heat it up.
yeah.
It's sad, bro.
Yeah.
You
But
know,
see, not only that, is that this is another thing too. We all know that when you're in prison, we know that there's food we never see and eat. Only the upper echelons eat that if they want it. Only if they want it.
Yes,
Now they got these things they call meal tickets. This is for staff. Right? This for staff, right? Now, the foods, a lot of the foods that, like I said, they eat, it's a warehouse full of all kind of things that the prisoner never see.
go to
Just like
staff
that
dining
money.
hall.
Yeah. And they got
Staff
special
dining
cooks
hall.
for them too. Yeah. And now if you work in there, you got a little pool in there, then yeah, you can fix a few places for yourself. But man, for what, 97%, 8% of the prison population never see that. That's
Yeah,
a large percentage.
I
I'm
think
talking about real food. Yeah, go ahead,
I don't
Pablo.
know. I don't know how much time we got left. It's past the hour now, but I just wanted to, you know, offer a few thoughts and the subject matter. I think that one of the things that we have a problem with in this country is the attitude. Like I can speak about that from personal experience. I know that from the world that I came from before I went to the penitentiary, I didn't want to hear nothing about what was going on in prison or with prisoners. I didn't give a damn. My position was, you committed a crime, you go to the penitentiary. Whatever happens to you, you got it coming. Don't cry, don't complain. Don't reach out, because if it was up to you, you put yourself in that situation. And then, as life would have it, I ended up in that situation. And when I saw firsthand with my own eyes what the conditions were, I couldn't believe that we had animals living in this country that were living better than human beings incarcerated. Now, there's a couple of problems with that. The attitude that people have in regards to criminal behavior and punishment, and then the laws that support them. We had this conversation before, where it's incredible to me, incredible that this country, with its dark history of slavery, still allows for the word slavery to be part of the United States Constitution. And therein
Yes.
begins the problem, that the Constitution of the United States condones slavery in prison institutions. That's why states are able to get away with treating prisoners the way they treat them. And then, other politicians, corrupt politicians, that have enabled these conditions to continue, because they don't allow media in prisons, because they say that prisoners are trying to become famous. There is no oversight to what they do in prisons. And so the public is completely ignorant to the conditions under which prisoners are living in this country. And so I'm surprised that Mike said that prisoners in Alabama have phones and they can film what's going on and what have you. And I support that. I say kudos to them for having that opportunity. But it's incumbent upon us, those of us who have seen it with our own eyes and who have lived to tell the story, to continue to speak on this matter. To me, hand in hand, telling my story and trying to tell people that change is possible. It is also having the opportunity whenever it presents itself to tell the community what is going on in our prison institutions. In California, it was said at one time that we had more prison institutions in this state than we had colleges and universities. I don't even know if that's true now, or it may be still true. And why is that? Take a look at the people that are incarcerated. It's not white folks that are incarcerated. It's black and brown people that are in there. And they're living under inhumane conditions. And how do they get away with that? Divide and conquer. You guys were talking about that. You touched on it a little bit, but I try in prison to present these views to the prison population and tell them that we didn't need to be fighting each other. Not in this environment. We needed to come together and stand together against the oppression that we were being subjected to. And how far did you think that talk went? Not very far. People don't
I
care
was
about
there.
that. Blacks were taking care of blacks, brown brothers were taking care of brown brothers, white were taking care of themselves. Nobody wanted to come together and fight the system. And this is exactly what the authorities wanted to see. They wanted to keep us divided. And this is how they continue to perpetuate this wrong. But, I challenge anybody who is out there listening to me about this particular subject matter. Why isn't a politician in this country, a senator or congressman, or even a celebrity, coming to making a point of bringing this issue to light and saying we need to abolish this language from the Constitution? We need to allow prisoners to have some rights, maybe not all kinds of rights, but some rights that would allow them to live in prison in a humane fashion. Because listen, man, if you treat prisoners like animals, you abuse them psychological, emotional, spiritual. When they come out of prison, they're not going to come out better people, better men, better women. They're going to come out thinking like they're animals, and they're going to act like that. And we have a responsibility to bring awareness to this issue and to invite people to find somebody to sponsor this and make it an issue, man, because it goes right along with all these other social issues that we're fighting for. The prison industrial complex is massive, massive. There are millions of people that are living off the backs of prisoners. Not only those who are making a profit from what we do, the labor that we do that we don't get paid for, but also the people who are selling the goods to the prisons. Everything that the prisons buy for prisoners is low quality, and they pay top dollar for that stuff. That's how they keep some communities in the state of California have no other way to survive but for the prison system that is right in their midst. Now you think about that. But the media and people who have platforms don't want to talk about these issues. They just don't think that these are issues that the community want to hear about. And therein lies the problem that we face, that there is no audience for these kinds of subject matters. People want to talk about, the latest movie, the basketball, the football, all this other stuff that is all a bunch of nonsense. But the real issues that are affecting our communities and that are keeping us oppressed and marginalized, nobody wants to talk about. That's my take on that.
You got something you want to say about it, Fredo?
That was deep.
That was deep.
Yeah.
Well, I just know one thing, going back to even the trades and what they're feeding these people during this time where it's like they're finally standing up for themselves. They feed you the bare minimum so they mentally have a hold on you, And they, from what I heard, once the population started growing in these prisons, they will only feed you a certain amount because a lot of these prisoners was getting massive where they couldn't even control them. You know what I'm saying? Like, a lot of these men, you got to think about these correctional officers that they have working in these prisons. These guys, some of the prisons I've been in, I'm like, who the hell is this little dweeb they got working on the block? Like this, he's a cracker to us. You know what I'm saying? Not meaning like cracker in the racial term, but like you're a little snack. You know, at the end of the day, you know, and some of them still have the audacity to come in and be an asshole. And I seen COs get mopped up and down the floor, up the steps, down the steps. All right, well, you know, we try to give you some form of respect, but this is our house. You know what I'm saying? When you work and you come to get this job and you don't understand what's actually going on here, and you have this correctional officer job, um, it still comes with a form of respect. You know what I'm saying? So in order to get respect, you got to give respect. You know, but yeah, like Pablo was saying, that there needs to be more of us that speak up, or figure out a system where we're able to um where they don't make it so hard for us to be able to speak about these subjects, because they make it a real they make it real hard for us to go back to the prisons and speak. You know, they make it difficult on purpose, because they already know the power that we have. We're men that came out of the system when they did everything they could to try to break us down mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and we still came out and still flourished in some type of way. We are powerful individuals, and we have more power than the regular person. Why? Because we've been on both sides. We can speak about both sides. We've gained a
Yeah,
sense of
absolutely.
we gained we gained scars that made us even stronger. You know what I'm saying? I don't look at these scars and be like, "Oh, this makes me a weaker person." No. Once you figure it out and you rise above the mentality of being broken, because you're not broken. Honestly, you just made into a stronger piece. You know, we're able to go in rooms where, whether we're going in rooms with the richest man in the world or we're going to the room with the poorest man in the world, we're still able to be versatile and speak on any subject, or you know, even feelings, or you know, literally adapt in any environment. That's one thing that we can take from being in the system. But yeah, I hope that the world does come and realize that, you know, it's all a scam, that a lot of this prison system is a scam in order for them to make money. A lot of these prisons are, I'm from Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and I've been in and out the system for years. And the prison that I was going to was owned. It was owned by, you know, some white folks. And they was making so much money off off of that jail. You know, it was privately owned, and it was making money so to them. It was keeping the whole city running. You know, and these eight cent noodles started getting raised up. They When I first went in, it was 45 cents a noodle, 75%. I mean 75 cent. Now I think that what I've heard last, they're over $1 for one pack of noodles. One pack of noodles. Are you kidding me?
Yeah,
And
Hey,
they're scared to feed us and them systems, because they know, listen, once we are mentally surviving, and then we have a physical power as well, because you got to think about it. You see a lot of pictures from back in the day, the Tukey Williams, them guys was huge. You know what I'm saying? So they try to keep a lot of these guys a little smaller so they can control them. You know, you
they was
hire,
eating, they was eating real food, bro. Like I
and
remember when I went to prison the first time, you can look across the street. One side was a county jail, and next to the county jail was a cow pasture, was a farm. Those cows and pigs and stuff that came off that farm, they fed that prison.
mm,
That you was eating the meat that you saw grazing in the grass. But the to rebound off of what Pablo said, I'm looking up some statistics. This is why that, you know, the common man, the common woman in America should care about what's going on with the prison system. This is why. In California, there are more prisons than colleges. That's a fact.
wow,
That is a fact. Now check this out. I'm gonna tell you how many more. Okay, in the state of Georgia, where I'm at right now, it has 69 colleges, 217 jails and prisons. Why is that? So they're telling us in society that we're betting on your child going to jail before he goes to college.
That's right.
This is what
that's
the
right.
system is telling society. We don't, I'm looking at it. We don't have to like second guess this. Everybody got a computer in their pocket. Type it in. In California, it says since 1980, California's built one college. Guess how many prisons? 22.
24.
Wow.
Yeah.
Hey, Mike, you just quoted a figure a minute ago about how much it takes, how much it costs for each prisoner here in the state of California. I said 35,000, and you corrected me, and he said, try multiplying that times 2. Now I'm going to ask you, my brother, and I'm going to ask you, fellow panelists. Just think what you could do if you were taking that money and you were investing it in the future of our brown brothers and sisters. Huh?
Check this out.
Just think about that. The kind of books that you could buy for them, the meals that you could feed them in the cafeteria when they come out of school, the after school activities. Why are we spending that much money on prisoners when we know that the prison system is not there to rehabilitate anyone? It's just a scam so that other people can make money off our backs. This is the real question that we need to be asking, and we need to confront politicians, not just the white politicians, but the black politicians that get into the game and then they forget who they're leaving behind, because they should have the responsibility to look out for us, and they don't.
You know, it's crazy that you say that. Y'all testaments to this. I know, both of y'all guys did over 3 decades straight. When you walked out the penitentiary, what did the prison system in California give you to assist you from day one? What did they release you with?
For the plane, the bus ticket to LA. When I got to LA, I was already broke.
But the government's giving them $64,642 per year for you. So
they still giving prisoners $200 gate money. And this, I can't even believe that in today's economy. Can you believe that? And then you're forced to buy your own bus ticket to get to LA. It is so much garbage going on with this thing, man. It's incredible. But I don't know, man. There's no wherewithal. There's no willpower. I mean, because there's so many people that have their hands in the cookie jar and are surviving from it that they will not speak out, because it will be the equivalent of biting the hand that feeds them. But that's where we come in, man. I have faith. I don't have much time left on this earth, brother, and I don't know what God intends to do with me. But I will tell you this, man. I ain't scared of nobody. Can't nobody do anything to me now that I'm gonna be crying about. I already lived my life, and I will speak out wherever I go. If anybody asks me and they want to know how I think about it, I will tell them exactly how I think about it, and that's not based on books. It's based on personal experience. The corruption runs deep, and they're not going to stop it because there's too much at stake for them. But we can, because we don't have anything to lose. It's that simple.
I love that. I'm gonna point out one thing Pablo said that just brought an idea to me, and I know that it might never happen, but they need to a lot more people that actually has been through the experience need to be working in some of these facilities instead of these people who keep trying to learn from these books. Books are only good for information. There's no book out here that can really give you experience unless it's written by somebody with that experience.
Right.
This is why as someone coming home from prison, they try to have me do the in and out programs or the therapy or counseling. And each one of the counselors, I ended up counseling them. And I had to be honest with them. I'm like, there's nothing you can tell me about me and what I've been through. And I would ask these counselors, hey, have you been through this? Have you been through this? And, I'm fortunate to deal with counselors who's been honest with me and be like, you know what? I haven't. I do not know.
Right.
feels like.
Yes, sir.
Why aren't there more programs or a system better equipped for us guys who do come out and become successful, have an easier way to come in and speak to them? These prisoners who are locked down ain't respecting this dude that don't understand my lifestyle. They don't want to hear that shit.
Yeah,
They're
yeah,
they're going because they have no other option, because the system's saying, well, you have to go and get 30 hours of therapy in order to be able even to accept it into this program that's going to help you succeed in life. That's bullshit. That's bullshit. How you going to give therapy about something you don't even understand?
No.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
yeah, yeah,
this is why it continues to get worse, and it's going to continue to get worse unless they figure out a way for us that's actually been through it to start running some of these facilities, or having more or more control over that, because us being through it, we can see shit before it even happens.
yeah, yeah.
We already know somebody. We can tell. Listen, if something going on, somebody looking at something a certain way, we already know it's about to go off. It's that simple. We can feel it. We've been through it. You know, we plant our feet and we can feel the vibrations of that. Compared to these other guys, they don't know what the fuck's going on. All they want to do is lock us down. Oh shit, y'all too loud. Stay in your cell. All you're doing is pissing these guys off. What you think they're gonna do when they come out? You got 10 motherfuckers trying to race to. You got 200 motherfuckers trying to race to 10 phones after they was locked down all day. What do you think that's gonna create? A fight. Like it's a lot. It's just a lot, man. I've been through it. You know, I respect you guys who've been through it for decades. I did 7 years, and I'm like, fuck. You know what I'm saying? Like I already had it to the max. And you know, now I feel like, you know, there's a lot more things that we can do you know, with one another. I'm out here in LA, you know, Mike, we are connected, and yeah, we have to have more of these talks. I'm for it, but you know, at the end of the day, I'm trying to talk to something that equivalates to walking, because you know, we can have these conversations these conversations every day, but if we ain't devising a plan in order to make take forward, then conversation.
That right there.
That
We
right
need
there.
to have a plan.
Yeah, to have a plan. See,
And to say something, what you're saying, I was just about to say, you know, it's really not hard to get in front of Congress, you know, your state legislative. You know, it's really not hard to get in front of those people and try to put these type of issues on voter ballots, or to get some type of politician behind, you know, the experience, what we live. It's really not hard to do that. It's just, you know, it's power in the pen. It really is. It's power in the pen. And you know, I've advised, you know, a lot of different things about the parole board across the board that need to be demolished. Across the board, the judge gave me 20 years. You either make me do 20 years or you let me go home in 4. It's just that plain and simple. If the judge say 20 years at 20%, that means I got 20 years. I'll be out in 4 years. I got 16 years on parole. That's it. No parole. But what's the parole board for?
Yeah.
It makes when you think about it, bro, it makes absolutely no sense at all. It's just another way that they're stealing taxpayers' money.
yeah, absolutely. I agree.
It's another way that they created an entity to say we need this because these are monsters we're protecting you from. No, not monsters. My mother's name is Barbara. My father's name is Thomas. I did not come from some crazy lab from a chemist. None of that. So I'm human just like they're human. We're human just like they're human. And it's just, you know, these conversations, bro. I couldn't have been more pleased to be able to be the one to narrate this night, because, like, I mean, I feel like I got a big bone to pick with the system.
Yes.
Absolutely.
16 years old. You sent me to prison at 16 years old for selling. Well, Oliver North said, yeah, I did that. Oliver North said, yeah, I did that. Y'all know I did that. So why you got me in front of y'all? Y'all a part of this. The Iran country, you a part of this. Bringing the cocaine in here to sell crack, to make crack, and you saying somebody in Jamaica or Queens invented it. You a lie. Ain't no black man on the planet that's running the streets knew to take baking soda and mix it with cocaine and cook it and come up with crack. Come on with the bullshit.
Yeah,
Nah,
yeah.
for real. So you see, my bone with the system is 16, bro. You sent me to prison at 16?